My research is of the sunscreen application behaviors and attitudes of high schoolers. According to the Skin Cancer Foundation statistics, 1 out of 5 Americans will develop skin cancer by the age of 70. Excessive sun exposure leads to many health harms, including sunburns, skin aging, and damaged DNA that can cause skin cancer. Fortunately, sunscreen is a preventative sun protectant, but there's a lack of usage, as the CDC reports that only 12% of men and 29% of women apply sunscreen when outside for more than an hour. Both the American Academy of Dermatology Association and the Skin Cancer Foundation recommend sunscreen. There are multiple reasons for sunscreen use, as a study by Dr. Chang from the University of Michigan found that 52% of those aged 14 to 24 apply sunscreen to prevent skin cancer. A study by dermatologist Dr. Wade found that 80% buy sunscreen for its SPF and 12% for its ingredients, brand, and price. There are also many reasons against sunscreen use, as Dr. Wake's study found that 34% do not apply sunscreen for its feel or appearance, 16% for its cost, and 15% for time constraints. A study of German adults by Dr. Gorig found that of those who rarely or never apply sunscreen, 46% do not for inconvenience and 40% for because there is no need. Recently, there have been numerous controversies surrounding sunscreen use. There are concerns for health issues, as a study was published by the FDA that found evidence for absorption of sunscreen ingredients into the bloodline, but no health concerns. And there are environmental concerns, as there has been evidence for harm to coral of sunscreen ingredients, leading to a ban of sunscreen ingredients in Hawaii. It is important to see if these controversies affect teen sunscreen use and lead to any hesitancy. There are 2 main predictive factors for sunscreen use: gender and race. A study by Dr. Dahl of teenagers found that females were 92.7% more likely to apply sunscreen than males. Dr. Dahl's study also found that white and Asian people were more likely to apply sunscreen. This research focuses on specifically high schoolers, as there is a lack of sunscreen use among teenagers. Dr. Dahl's study found that teenagers rarely use sunscreen when outside for more than 1 hour. These are formative years for these high schoolers that can dictate their future habits, and it's important to see if sunscreen use can be implemented into these habits. Previous studies, such as those by Dr. Wade and Dr. Gorig, focused on the sunscreen purchasing motivations and reasons for and against use for specifically adults, so it is important to see what these are for high schoolers. This study also focuses on Georgia specifically. There was a study by Dr. Zaslow comparing sunscreen for Colorado, California, and Hawaii, and found significant differences in sun protection methods between these 3 states. But there was a study by Dr. Bolick from Harvard who found very slight differences in sun protection. So these contradictions between research warrant the need for additional location-specific research. This leads me to my research question. What are the sunscreen application behaviors and attitudes of students at Metro Atlanta High School? I will use a mixed method descriptive research study using an online survey of students at a Metro Atlanta High School. The survey was created using Microsoft Forms and will consist of 57 questions that will take approximately 5 minutes to complete. It will have some number of participants who are aged 13 to 19. The survey will consist of 4 general sections: demographic, sunscreen application behaviors and frequency, importance of various factors, and attitudes regarding sunscreen. The survey questions came from the following 3 surveys, or peer-reviewed studies. These questions will be modified to be specific to high schoolers and be more relevant and simpler to answer, and also for specific to sunscreen application and behaviors. I also included questions on skin type to see if there was any differences for those of different skin types, and also to compare the usage of SPF in skincare and makeup, and additionally the controversial questions. The survey would include quantitative and qualitative questions. Quantitative questions using multiple choice and qualitative using an open text box. I will use cluster sampling, so accessible classes will be randomly selected, and I will visit those classes and explain my research and participation in the study. And then I will give out informed consent forms for the students and their parents to sign. I will then visit the classes a few days later, and for those who have completed the form, I will show them a QR code linking them to the survey. The survey is voluntary and no identifying information will be included. That's all.
Okay, and Amy has an oral defense question for you.
What might be a real-world application of your expected findings?
As my research showed, there is a lack of sunscreen use among teenagers. Sunscreen is very important to prevent these health harms, and so by studying what the reasons for the lack of sunscreen use, that would allow for health initiatives to better target teenagers and those in Georgia to improve sunscreen usage.